Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us here once again at SmallCapVoice.com, where we shine a spotlight on some of the smartest, freshest plays out there in the market today, and big news for one of our clients last week. Company's name is IIoT Oxys Incorporated, ticker symbol is ITOX. Dateline, March 10th, 2022. And here's the headline: IIoT Oxys wins contract extension from a major Northeast state's Department of Transportation for bridge monitoring. Now, inside that press release, there's a great quote from the CEO, Cliff Emmons, and that is, the extension of this contract is a validation of the solid proposition, our bridge monitoring system by this state's DOT and the structural engineering firm that is providing oversight on this project. It also substantiates the strength of our strategic partnership with Aingura IIoT SL and the proprietary AI machine learning algorithms we developed. So today, we are joined by Cliff Emmons of IIoT Oxys. We'll refer to them as Oxys for the rest of this interview, as well as Javier Díaz from Aingura IIoT SL. Cliff, welcome, and thanks for making time for us.
Thank you, Stuart. And again, I just want to emphasize how excited we are about this bridge monitoring PO extension. It truly is, as I said in the article, a validation of the value our system brings to the bridge inspection process. And as you also mentioned too, it is absolutely a proof of how strong the Oxys Aingura collaboration has been, and it's a success. I want to say that it all started in 2018. I was at an AI and machine learning conference in Beijing, and I saw Javier present, and I was extremely impressed by his background, which you'll hear more about, and his experience. And I was especially impressed by his background in smart manufacturing, but even more so in the area of predictive maintenance work. So I knew at that time I wanted to partner with Javier and Aingura. And I admit it took a little while before we found the right framework and the opportunities. We always knew that there could be a great fit in the smart manufacturing area because we had at the time an active continuous manufacturing proof of concept taking place, but it really was the structural and really is the structural health monitoring collaboration that's the success story that we want to share today.
Outstanding. Thanks so much for that, Cliff. And Javier, welcome to SmallCapVoice.com. Thanks so much for taking the time to be with us here today. Let's learn a little bit about you, Javier. Tell us about your background. Cliff has obviously told us a lot about you. And listeners, I should point out, this news last week actually was a blockbuster for the company, its chart, and its trading. So of course, at SmallCapVoice, you can get its historical data, links to all the filings. Go there, check out what happened when this news came out, because it's big and the company has not looked back since. But with that, Javier, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, thank you, Stuart. Yes, well, my background, I've been in the, let's say, in the industry for around 20 years, working as a mechanical engineer. I have a master's degree in advanced manufacturing technology, but always working with all the things related with data coming from let's say assets in industry environments. So from there, I just started to get a lot of interest on how to extract knowledge from the data. That pushed me a little bit to work on my PhD, which is right now a PhD specifically in artificial intelligence. So from there, I'm working in different companies, in different industry-related places. I end up in this, let's say, in industrial group where Aingura is coming from, where I started, let's say, doing research work on how this data could improve, let's say, could give added value to the country, to the companies itself. So from there, all my experience have been applied, and then from that research line, Aingura has been developed. So that's kind of my short story, and thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you would, Javier, kind of tell us about some of the events that happened in 2020 that now lead up to this collaboration with Oxys.
Yes. As Cliff said, we met in 2018, but then, well, we were starting with the idea of Aingura. Aingura was already a company, but it was just finding its own path. And then in 2020, with the industrial group that is the owner of the company, let's say there was a restructure of the complete companies with different departments. And we came in our actual CEO, Rafael Díaz, from where we just unblock. We found a way to unblock the situation with Cliff, and then we traveled really fast. I think it was the first travel from Rafael and me to Florida. It was just one really small travel where we just unblock and we started, let's say, the first step to these interesting results.
Outstanding. Well, Cliff, if you would, then let's talk a little bit more about bridge monitoring, this specific project, and also how your collaboration with Aingura plays into it and plays out.
Sure. So I just want to say it really did have some humble beginnings of the project. It was just a few bridges involved in this initial proof of concept. They were all the same type. They were all rather later in their service years. Most importantly, these were types of bridges where the state's structural engineers felt monitoring could be a good adjunct to their current visual inspection methods. And what I just want to say is at the point that the Aingura team came into this project with us, Oxys had already built the foundation of the actual project. We had selected the sensors, we had designed the data collection systems. The systems had been installed and were collecting data for almost a full year. Their expertise in machine learning really complemented our AI and machine learning analytical skills. And also the size of the Aingura team was just a little bit larger than us. And when you made that combination of the additional manpower combined with the complementary skills, it really led to the breakthrough results that our customer has acknowledged through this PO extension.
Well, excellent. Javier, I'm going to ask you basically the same question. This collaboration with Oxys in the juxtaposition or with the backdrop of this bridge monitoring. Talk to me a little bit about how you feel about this collaboration for this specific project.
Yes. Okay. So that's really interesting. And as Cliff said, when we started this, Oxys was already working on the field, which is I always say when we start this type of projects, the first step was to get the data in order to start doing something with that. And at that moment, of course, Oxys was really well advanced in that particular step. And from where, in a collaborative way, we started just to try to look for more insights and to develop more the ideas that we have from both perspectives. And we end up with let's say a solution that can be applied in all this type of structural health monitor.
Well, then, Cliff, where do we go from here? I mean, if we have such a strong union that's already been established between yourself and Aingura, let's talk a little bit about where this collaboration could potentially go from here.
Well, first of all, I want to say that the wonderful thing about this is our collaborations are not limited to the structural health monitoring. I think as time goes on, we'll be sharing more stories about areas such as smart manufacturing, both in continuous manufacturing as well as discrete manufacturing. So when it comes to the structural health monitoring, I just want to say, I feel we have an extremely bright future. First of all, we know that last year, the U.S. infrastructure bill was signed into law. And just in that one piece of legislation, there's 40 billion specifically dedicated to bridges and their repair and installation. That gives us a huge opportunity then to not only expand our monitoring services within the actual state we're currently in, but it also gives us a great resume to take to the other US states that are also seeing this injection of money into their infrastructure. But it doesn't just stop there. Because of this collaboration with Aingura, we actually are including that expansion into other locations. And I'll have Javier speak specifically to those geographic areas. Now, I also want to say within the structural health monitoring sector, there are expansion points for us as well. In the area of energy, traditional oil and gas structures, especially offshore, are very important and are very interested in structural health monitoring, as is clean energy and offshore wind. So both those sectors in the energy, but also the mining industry is also another industry that is very concerned and interested in structural health monitoring. So I'm gonna switch over to Javier so that he can talk a little bit about the exciting work that we're collaborating on in Europe. But before I do, I also want to point out to the audience that last year we also signed an NDA with a structural health monitoring subject matter expert in South America. So I'll turn it over to Javier here.
Yes. Of course, that this project has opened a lot of interesting aspects, and as Cliff said, in this part of the Atlantic, also is interesting the monitoring of structures, and of course we start working here on some other applications as structures. We can find them in many places. Of course, now we are working on the instrumentation and doing the replication of the same application, but here in two bridges from the local government. But also we have some specific applications in the railway industry. All those based on this type of solutions. Let's say that this work that we have done in these years have opened all these doors, as you can show them. Let's say at least a small proof of concept of what we have done in order to let us explain what we are trying to do.
Well then, Cliff, let's go back to you for any closing thoughts. This has been a really informative interview, and we thank you both so much for your time. Cliff, if you would, tell us a little bit about what we can look for the companies and your company going forward, Cliff.
Absolutely. So I really want to emphasize that the PO extension that we received is really the culmination of a lot of hard work and collaboration, not only with Aingura, which has been absolutely spectacular, but also the fact that we've reached out to prominent university professors, practicing structural engineers, and our work has gained the attention and respect of the experts in this industry. And to that end, I'm going to let Javier share some exciting news that he has.
Yes, of course, coming from that relationship, we build also relationship at this part in Europe, and I have been invited to as a keynote speaker to the International Conference of Bridge Maintenance, Safety and Management, which is one of the most important conference related to structural health monitoring. So over there, I will have, or at least we will have, the opportunity to showcase our experience using artificial intelligence tools to solve part of these applications.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you both for your time. Listeners and viewers, we are really spanning the entire globe. I'm actually traveling out of our studio, not in Austin, Texas now. We're speaking to Javier in Spain. We're speaking to Cliff on the East Coast. So we apologize for any buffering that may have happened during this video interview, but what a great interview. What a great time to be adding ITOX to your watch list. Cliff, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Stuart.
And Javier, wonderful to meet you, and thanks for making time for us today.
Thank you very much, Stuart.
All right, for Cliff Emmons and Javier Diaz, this is Stuart Smith from SmallCapVoice.com saying thanks so much for tuning in.